all want the best for our children. We want them to be happy and able to cope with real-life challenges effectively. That is why we have created the Social-Emotional Learning Kit, a comprehensive set of practical communication and emotion-oriented activities you can apply in your classes with the Photon Robot.
Yoo-hoo! Yoo-hoo!
In this video tutorial, I will introduce you to the kit and provide an overview of 3 sample lessons I have carried out in my classroom. With the help of the Photon Robot, 50 ready-to-use lesson plans, and dedicated teaching aids, you can teach your students how to deal with aggression, stress, and other negative emotions. Prepared activities help children understand the importance of self-discipline, showing empathy and gratitude, making the right choices, cooperating, and respecting one another. The kit results from close cooperation with American and European experts on social-emotional skills development and is based on a methodology developed by a leading organization in this field, CASEL. All of the activities are out-of-the-box solutions, so you can implement them into your teaching routine in no time. The kit works great in early childhood education, as well as with 4th and 5th graders. What's more, it is easy to use and requires no previous experience in programming. The first activity aims at developing emotional awareness in children. To conduct this lesson, you need a Photon Robot, a tablet or another device with a Photon app, a dedicated plain grid square exercise mat, and a set of flashcards with weather symbols, each representing a different emotion. You may either discuss the emotional connotations of the cards with the students or leave it up to them. Students took turns directing the robot onto fields marked by flashcards they thought best described their moods during the exercise. Children would then explain to others how they were feeling and why. By doing so, they practiced identifying and naming their feelings and emotions, while the robot helped them break the ice and get more involved in the task. The second activity aims to build relationships in groups while developing collaborative and constructive problem-solving skills. To construct a ramp for the robot to climb on top of a chair, children had to cooperate. That was a chance for them to improve their team-building skills. To carry out this task, we used a robot, a tablet, and a chair. To build the ramp, we used recycled cardboard tubes and boxes, plastic bottles, glue, a pair of scissors, and pieces of string. In this exercise, it is crucial to allow children to decide what kind of result they want to achieve. That way, you challenge them to cooperate and communicate closely, assign and take on roles, discuss which building materials to use, and take responsibility for the tasks they agreed to carry out. After making and testing the ramp, we sat in a circle and discussed the building process, analyzed approaches that worked and things that went wrong. This way, we worked out the rules of teamwork. In our discussion, it was crucial to address students' experiences. Having built a structure that helped achieve a specific goal motivated children to work and give them a lot of satisfaction in the end. When working with a larger group, we suggest dividing the children into smaller teams to give everyone a chance to test and show their designs in front of the class. You can come back to this exercise later, swap team members, and task objectives. On their next turn, consider using different materials or build a completely different structure. This activity focused on developing storytelling skills, improving decision-making abilities, and recognizing and dealing with different emotions. The Photon Robot played the leading role in the children's stories, which we discussed in more detail later. To carry out this task, you need a robot, a tablet, a dedicated storytelling mat, an educational cube, as well as 6 flashcards depicting positive and negative attitudes, such as stealing other students' toys or a littered city. You will also need name sticks with children's names written on them. To customize the educational cube, simply insert the flashcards into the cube's pockets. At the beginning of the activity, we carefully examined the pictures on the mat and briefly discussed what each of them meant. I then told the children a short story referring to one of the fields on the mat with the Photon Robot as the main character. Once upon a time, Photon was building a castle out of blocks. It took him quite a while. It was almost complete, but one important building block was missing. The robot looked for it everywhere, but could not find it. Unable to complete the construction, angered Photon drove with full force into the structure, destroying the castle that took so much time and effort to build. The blocks were scattered all over the floor. When I finished telling the story, I directed the robot to a field depicting a building made of blocks, changed the color of the robot's ears to red, which I associate with anger, and played the angry sound using the Photon Education app. I then asked the children what they thought of the story. What did the robot feel? Could it have behaved differently? How would they solve a similar problem themselves? Next, I asked a randomly chosen student to select one of the fields on the mat, roll the educational cube, and draw an emotion flashcard previously placed in one of the cube pockets. The student had to come up with a short story based on both images. Photon had to be the main story character. At the end of the story, the student would direct the robot to a previously chosen field, change the color of its ears to the one they associate with emotions mentioned in the story, and play the appropriate sound. After each story, we discussed the emotions mentioned there. We tried to name negative emotions and find solutions to the challenges the Photon Robot was facing. This comprehensive exercise develops empathy and gives students an opportunity to tell stories that address their own experiences and emotions. They practice talking about real-life challenges and eventually learn how to deal with them. With this kit, your students will develop skills and abilities that help them understand emotions, become responsible, courageous, and respectful.